What's up, guys? We're just getting ready. This is 200 feet black plastic. We're about to take this barn and turn it into a film studio. We're going to move all the hay out. There's a lot of hay in here. And we're going to black out the entire building and hang lights from the ceiling here and turn this into a film studio.
Where did the idea for this script come from?
Jesus always used stories to example spiritual meanings, and when Paul talks about the race, I thought that would make a really cool video to example what it means to spiritually run a race for the Lord.
Tell me about how you created the props.
So Run was a very prop-heavy project. I have the pillars, the treadmill, the shields, cross, satchel, the armor. I forget what else I'm missing, but there's a lot of props. The pillars, I'll just start with them. They were a crazy process. I literally had no idea how to make them, no idea mathematically how to put them together, and I literally prayed, and the Lord just gave me it. It just hit me. The angles I needed to do, everything I needed to do. And He gave me the idea of using a ratchet strap, but cutting off the ends and then sewing it together, because I have a leather sewing machine that I use for the satchel. But I sewed these together and would wrap them around the pillars, would strap them down and glue them, and they're all glued together. The pillars were just insanely hard. It challenged me in every way of being a prop maker. The treadmill is a really cool story. I felt like the Lord said He would provide it for me without me looking. So I didn't look at all, and I got a phone call a week later. Hey, do you need a treadmill? And so I had to learn how to rewire a treadmill because they're very safety oriented. And so I had to rip off all this stuff to make it to where I could run it without all these safety features. I had to learn things like what a potentiometer was to control the speed, and then a bridge rectifier to change it from DC current to AC current. And it was just another really challenging process. So the cross, I'd actually built another cross for another project. And so I kind of modeled this one off it, but I did some new designs and blacksmith it. I learned how to make nails, which is, I should know how to, but I don't. So I had to learn that. And it was just a really incredible process. The satchel, just leather working. The chains is a really cool story. I was delivering to my old blacksmithing teacher. He's like, hey man, I made a pair of chains for a series on, I think it was Billy the Kid or one of those criminals. One thing he told me that really hit me is that shackles didn't have keys on them like we see in Hollywood. So what they do is they rivet them shut. And I love the idea because I think of hell's shackles as something that is just riveted shut, and the only thing that can break it is Jesus Christ. And so we have that moment where He comes, He doesn't have a key, He just grabs it with His hands and He just breaks them. And I just think it's such a powerful moment. The shackles were such a fun process to learn, really, really hard to make, but I designed them off Andy Morris's model that he gave me. And I really am thankful for him teaching me how to make those. The shields, I knew I wanted them attached to pillars somehow, even though we weren't certain how we were going to do that. I wanted to find an image that would represent this kind of angelic type feeling. So I saw this lion image. We kind of changed it up a little bit. We used an old projector and we would project it onto the shields, trace them, and then we'd go through and wood burn them, which was a really hard process and just took a lot of time. And then I made my own homemade stain to kind of give them this unique old feel, and then used leather to create the straps and the handles and everything. Those are the main props I kind of want to talk about that were pretty intense.
What was your favorite prop?
That's a tough one. It's so hard. I always say this thing that homemade meals taste better because they're made with love. And Run, my sole desire of Run was to make every aspect of it with love. And so I poured my heart and prayer into every single prop, every single aspect of it, because I wanted it to be like a home-cooked meal. So it's really hard to pinpoint a prop because each of them were part of the story and taught me about the story. When you think about the shield of faith, when you actually make a shield and think about what it represents, it brings a whole new aspect into it. And when you think of the shackles of death, when I was making these shackles, I was just pounding them as hard as I could to make them as ugly and as strong and as demonic as I could. And so each prop really prepared me to act and prepared me to write and develop the story as I worked on them. So props were really a big part of the story for me.
What was your favorite moment on the set?
Wow, I don't know. Getting married was pretty nice, even though it was so fake. I'd probably say the end, trying to even comprehend what it's like running your race full and as hard as you can. Every single scene we did, we would increase the potentiometer by 1%. So every scene he got faster and faster. And I started running all weird and would like develop and learn how to run, because that's how the race is. Like, we learn and we grow and we get faster and better. It all came to the moment at the cross where the runner has finished his race and Jesus Christ was there. I think it's such a powerful moment. It's like you just made it through war. You just made it through really, life is not easy, and running the race is so hard and it's exhausting, but you made it through and Jesus Christ is there to receive you. That moment when we filmed that scene, I couldn't stop crying, and the music we had going, and there's just very few of us on set. It was like one of the most powerful moments. So that was like the best. The hardest moment was when the character, he's fallen down and it's the first time you see him, he's just wiped out. He has nothing in him to move, to walk, and his family's around praying for him, and the pillars that represent his life are just all in shambles, and he just has nothing to keep going. That moment was one of the hardest scenes I've ever acted, because I wanted to represent people who've turned their back on the Lord and who were basically like, I'm done with you, God, you're not real anymore. And the weight of that was so heavy. I could not stop crying. Later, you see in the film, the Lord actually carrying him through that moment. But in that moment, he doesn't see that. So he's trying to get back up, and it's the Lord helping him back up. And it's just a really special moment for me, just because I know everyone who sees this has gone through hard and horrible moments in life, and I didn't want to skip those moments in this film.
What lessons did you take away from working on this project for the past 2 years?
The whole theme of Run is perseverance. The act of like continuing on is really, really the hardest part. We've said this a lot about our projects, that the Lord gives us a project to work on that in us. So as I was trying to represent what it meant to run the race, I was actually having to run the race for 2 years on this project. From vision to working on it to producing it. The process is just ridiculous, but it's taught me that's what a race is. Like, you have to keep going, you have to wake up, you have to keep training, you have to keep being focused. I just appreciate that the Lord taught me aspects of running the race through making this video, just because the process of it was just so maturing and so challenging. I really want to physically display spiritual truths. It really gave me a lot of insight into things in my own life.
What do you hope audiences take away from the film?
One, you need to persevere. Like, you have to keep going. No matter what, you just have to keep going. But two, encouragement is one of the biggest important things of the race. Encouragement from the Lord, encouragement from people, and even self-encouragement. I felt like this message is for this time because people have lost heart, they've lost courage, they've lost hope, they've lost love and faith and all these things that give us the strength we need to keep going and keep pushing forward. And so I feel like more than ever, Run is meant as a message for this generation. There's no direction, there's no hope, there's no nothing. And then Jesus comes and he gives us direction. I want, like, just real quick, I just want to comment. Screen direction is really important for telling a story. When someone's going home or when someone's experiencing something good, they go left to right, and that's usually because we read left to right. But in Run, I prayed, I was like, what way does the runner need to face? And I felt like the Lord said the opposite. I wanted the screen direction to feel like opposition, going against what we're used to, with our eye and our focus on Jesus Christ, because that's what Jesus did. It's going to hurt, it's going to feel awful, you're going to lose friends, you're going to like feel the weight and the pressure of a current. It's like swimming upstream, a current coming against you, and you're fighting against it. But that's what the race is, and you just gotta keep running and keep running and keep running.